How many of you excited with what Manu Bhaker has achieved in Olympics for our country? And do you know what happened in the last Olympics? Her gun malfunctioned, which means the bullets were just not going. Now imagine what she went through. Every now and then in life, things will go wrong. Now, this mental frame is critical for anybody to achieve big things in life. The fear that things might go wrong stops us from dreaming big. The realization that things will go wrong once in a way makes us have that mindset that if it goes wrong, I will bring things. Okay? COVID happened. Things went wrong. Life is back on track. My friend Rajesh lost his job, couldn't find another job. He was highly paid, about 40 lakhs in an IT company. His wife had to start teaching from home. And today, as a tuition teacher, he is earning more than 2 lakh rupees per month. So things will go wrong every now and then. My family lost all the money when I was 18. My darling wife, Bharti, lost her father when she was 15 years old, 1-5. Every now and then, things will go wrong. An extraordinary KMM volunteer, Vandana, met with an accident after taking the session, had a brain injury. She had to go through brain surgery. Once in a way, things will go wrong in life. You begin session number 3 by establishing this fact inside the classroom that once in a way, things will go wrong in life. Now, session number 1 is Voice of Hope. And session number 3 is, you can read it. You may take a little effort to read it. New words. Once in a way, things will go wrong. There's nothing important over there, so we can. We had a 3-day convention, and the title of the convention, the name of the convention was Sapre Vedere, which means know how to see. Now, in Sapre Vedere, one of the speaking competitions was broken crayons, still color, where 16 speakers went up the dais and spoke about how they faced an event where things broke down very badly, and yet they could create themselves, yet they could lift themselves. It's such a beautiful, powerful statement. Broken crayons, still color. If the crayon pencil is broken, doesn't mean it's useless anymore. Which means even I go through a huge setback in my life, I can still do well. I can still contribute. I can still learn. I can still fly. So every now and then in life, there will be a tragedy. Now let's just take a small pause, and I'm asking all of you to do this reflection exercise where you will have your notebooks, you will have your pen, and just write down, if the worst possible thing happens in your life, how will you respond to it? Take a minute and just write down the answer. Don't just keep it in your mind. If there is something worse that can happen, and the worst does not include your death, then you don't have to respond. If something really bad happens in your life, how will you respond? You're even scared to think about that eventuality. But if it happens, how will you respond? Your last 15 seconds, just complete whatever you're writing. Okay. Learnings are very deep when there is reflection after your learning. If there is no reflection, it just becomes knowledge and stays as knowledge. You'll come across very educated people who do stupid mistakes in life, and you'll come across almost illiterates living a very smart life. So it's not the presence of knowledge, but it's about, have you figured out how you will implement that knowledge, which makes all the difference in life. Dronacharya told the Pandavas and the Kauravas that this is one book that I'm giving to you, and I'm going on a 1 month holiday. In 1 month, you have to learn everything in this book. He comes back and asks everybody, did you learn? Did you learn? Did you learn? Everybody, sincere students, Kauravas and the Pandavas, everybody said, yes, we have learned the whole book. Yudhishthir is the only person who's not speaking. He's silent. And Dronacharya knows that he's one of my best students. Looks and asks, what happened? He said, no, I could only learn the first sentence, and after that I'm stuck. Even there I'm struggling a bit. But I'm almost there. Dronacharya became very angry, got up and slapped Yudhishthira. You are the eldest. You are supposed to be a role model. You should have set standards. I have some expectations from you. I want everybody to follow you. And this is how you disappoint me? Only first sentence. Why did you get stuck over there? And he's standing absolutely still. Dronacharya opened the book and saw the first sentences. I will master my anger. And Dronacharya realized, I'm not living by the knowledge in this book. Everybody has memorized it. They have learned it. But this young man is implementing it. And he told you this, in the first statement, you have lived by the entire book. Every now and then in life, we will go through tragedies. And that is the time the knowledge we have requires to be implemented. So this exercise is a reflection exercise. It is not an input-driven exercise. It's a, okay, how are you going to process it? So maybe somebody in the class will say, we are going to implement voice of hope. Maybe somebody will say, I will use my power of communication and I'm going to emerge out of that situation. Then you realize, in some people, the earlier two sessions have connected well. And somebody else might have their own philosophies, which can be equally or more powerful, by which they have learned how to deal with tragedies of life. So I'm asking you, some of you, what have you written? Now, don't tell me voice of hope or power of communication because you heard it now. That's why I said write down. So what have you written down? Because wonderful. Shripal? Wonderful. Pankaj? Beautiful. Yes, darling? Okay. The event is a learning experience in my life. Yes. Yeah. Wonderful. That's such a fresh perspective. No, allow myself to break down. I don't have to be brave when I'm going through a tragedy. Live that and then come out of it. Okay. I saw a few more hands, but in the class, you will have 4, 5, or 6 people to share. This is how you take this part of the session. Then comes a very interesting part of the session. Whenever you go through a tragedy in life, there is a mindset that we have. The mindset is classically of 3 kinds. Now, psychologists would say 2, we are expanding it into 3. The first mindset which happens is freeze. When I go through a tragedy, I feel I am not capable enough to handle it. This is too overwhelming. This is too big for me. मैं बेचारा. I feel I'm just not made to handle this tragedy. I am alone. I feel lonely. I feel incapable. I therefore don't do anything but feel helpless. Freeze is equal to absolute feeling of helplessness. In an extreme stage, it becomes shock. Stage number 1. I freeze. Stage number 2. I don't freeze. But I become very negative. I complain. I blame. I fix the reason of my tragedy onto someone. Like Joseph Campbell in that book, A Hero with Thousand Faces says, whenever something is wrong in your life, we always find a face to blame. So whenever I have a tragedy, I look to escape from that situation. With psychology, we call it as flight mode. भागो यहां से. Responsibility मतलब. So I can always say, I'm not doing well in life because my father did not support me. I'm not doing well in life because my school was not good enough. I'm not doing well in life because I don't have money. I could have had done much bigger if only I was born to Mukesh Ambani. Yeah, you would have looked like Anand Ambani also. That is also a possibility. So I keep blaming. I could have done so well if I was born in Switzerland. ये पूना में ना बहुत प्रॉब्लम है. So this is called flight mechanism, where I do not want to accept any responsibility whatsoever for my life. The moment something is not okay, I find somebody to blame. In your office, if work has not happened, it's always because if your team member, your leadership is superb, then you are in flight mode. सब गधे लोग इधर ही आके मेरे साथ काम को काय को करते हैं मालूम नहीं. Has anyone of you ever made that statement today morning? अच्छा, yesterday. And working in the corporate, how many times have you blamed the boss for not growing fast enough in life? And I don't know any boss who does puja to in the employee and says, please don't leave me, stay here. Like we always say, if something is not working in your office or in your team, change people or change people. Two options. Either you change that person and make them better, or change that person and bring in someone else. So only two options. Both sound same. Change people or change people. But flight never helps. Now, in the context of children inside the classroom, I can always blame the teacher and say the teacher is not teaching well enough. I can always say that my bench member is always disturbing me. I can always say the environment in my home is not good enough. I can always say nobody motivates me. I can always say I'm compared to somebody and therefore I always feel inferior. This is extraordinarily beautifully relevant flight mechanism. And 90% of people do not do well in life because their mind is set to flight. I also know of some people who are very obese. And when I ask them, yeah, you don't want to be fit? Says, बीवी खाना बहुत अच्छा बनाती है. पर है वही बीवी इतने दिन से बोल रही है डायमंड का हार दिलाओ तो नहीं दिलाया. Just think, in which situations of life are you in the flight mode? Reflection. Which part of your life are you in the flight mode? In some cases, it can be your age. अब क्या? Let's say 50 का हो गया हो, अभी भी इतना मेहनत करने का क्या? तो पहले कब किया था? That's a different matter. Which part of your life are you stuck in flight? Pankaj used the word acceptance. I'll first accept the situation. So only when I accept, okay, here I am in the flight mode, is there a possibility of moving on? Otherwise, it's denial. So a question to all of you. Where are you in the flight mode? हाँ, वो शेयरिंग नहीं आता है. I have स्वप्न. डार्लिंग श्रीपन, उड़ना. Absolutely. Hmm. So everybody over here is flightless, right? Huh? Not possible. Yes, darling. Absolutely right. Yes. Hmm. Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. Yes. Yeah. Your mom is so happy right now. I can't explain. I can't explain. Yes, darling. Okay, wonderful. So let me introduce another thing. And this is for you, huh? Don't do this inside the classroom. In the classroom, you ask them to reflect with respect to studies, performance, responsibility. This is purely for you. How many of you know that you need to have some critical conversation with a few people who matter to you, but you have been avoiding it or postponing it for a little while, thinking they might mind or nahi nahi mere ko thoda aur sochne do. You're not having critical conversations. How many of you? So this week you will have those conversations. Only then you will be able to go inside the classroom and speak with authority about, I know what it feels like to be in the flight mode, and I know what it takes to come to the third stage that I'm going to discuss with you, which is called the freedom mode. Another situation. How many of you believe that you need to take a decision, but you have been postponing making that decision for some time because it's uncomfortable? Adi, marriage? ये पूछ रहा है. How many of you know this very well that you need to take a decision, but you have been postponing taking decision? Which means this week you will take those decisions. And the beginning of the session is, even if the worst thing happens, I am ready to face it. Broken crayon, still color. And often out of tragedies, revolutions are born. A Jallianwala Bagh happens and a Bhagat Singh is born. And Rabindranath Tagore gives up his knighthood. And Bengal, which was the thinking capital of our country, obviously worships Tagore. And entire Bengal, which was kind of silent, moves into action. Jesus Christ is crucified, and the largest revolution of love is born in this world. So there are times when a tragedy is the bedrock for the start of a revolution. Now, when you have that mental fitness, even if the worst happens, I will create some revolutionary results out of my life. Then you actually experience what is called as freedom. 15th of August 1947 was physical freedom for you and me. But emotionally, mentally, psychologically, potentially, you and me are still struggling in slavery. And that is where true freedom has to happen. A donkey fell into a well. And the donkey was old, of no use to the farmer. Farmer attempted to get the donkey out, couldn't get the donkey out of the well. Put some ropes and all that stuff, and nothing happened. Called his friends, friends wanted to help, nothing happened. It was a dry well. After some time, the friends told the farmer, कोई फायदा नहीं है, ऐसे भी बुढ़ा हो गया है. In fact, to ensure nobody else falls inside, why don't we fill this well with mud? And obviously, they started filling the well. The donkey found dirt falling in it, and the dirt covered the legs. Even if it's a donkey, it realized it's going to die. And what does the donkey do? Next bucket of Mud that falls, the donkey just shakes it off, and it finds the mud, goes down, and he steps on that dirt. Dirt falls, shake it off, on top. Dirt falls, shake it off, on top. Dust falls, shake it off, on top. The dust fills the well, and the donkey is on the top and trots out of the well. This philosophy is called shake it off. Now and then you will fall in a well. When you fall in a well, well meaning, non-well meaning, people will throw dirt. They may not be against you, but they might want to prevent further damage to somebody else or themselves, and therefore they are flinging dirt on you. I can go into freeze, feel helpless. I can go into flight, start blaming them non-stop. Or I can just shake it off. All of you do this, shake it off. I was simple. That's all. Next time something goes wrong in life, अगर किसी ने तेरे को चिल्लाया ना, तेरी गलती नहीं थी ना, look at them. Do this. Radha, shake it off. It's as simple as that. But don't tell yourself you are a donkey, shake it off. Tell yourself I am a champion and I'm going to shake it off. When you want to fly, when you want to do something incredible, we have to be masters in shaking it off. Which means anything which makes you believe you're not good enough, you will shake it off. Anything which says you are limited, you will shake it off. तुम पब्लिक लिमिटेड कंपनी बनाओ, लेकिन प्राइवेटली यू आर अनलिमिटेड. वो कॉन्सेप्ट के साथ जीना. Shake it off. Now what you will do is, inside the classroom, you will give them 10 scenarios. What you can do is, you can write down the 10 scenarios, each on a piece of paper. और अच्छा piece of paper लेना, थोड़ा बड़ा सा लेना. Don't make one tund as a piece of paper. You know, one Xerox copy, उसका 15 पीस मत बनाना. उसका 4 पीस बनाओ, अच्छे से सिनेरियोज लिखना. And what you will do is, what I'm going to do with you, and this will be the most interesting part of the whole session. What we have discussed so far is built up. Now you go into the core of the session. Once again, this is a reflective session. You will make people reflect. You are developing their intelligence. You are giving them the opportunity to participate. You are not force feeding them. You are making them believe that they have the smartness to analyze and come to conclusions. One way to lift people is by motivating them, but motivation is always temporary. And that's why they say motivation is like taking bath. You need one every day. And in training, in the world of training, the biggest robbery happens in motivational training. Because water becomes water paper, and then water paper becomes water again. Transformation did not happen. Long-term change did not happen. What should be done by you inside the classroom is transformation. We are not in the business of motivation. We are in the business of transformation. Let the caterpillar become a butterfly. Let sand become marble and granite. And the butterfly cannot go back to become a caterpillar. And this is only possible through reflection, implementation, reflection, implementation, reflection, implementation. It is not possible just through input-driven training. Input-driven training is, किसी को बुलाओ, सब लोगों को भाषण दो, 15-20 मिनट, आधा घंटा, 1 घंटा, and then you go back, at the end of it, you had an assessment, how did you feel? Everybody feels on a high. And the trainer thinks, wow, what a great job I have done. See, everybody is so excited today. But what happens tomorrow? So therefore, we are not doing that kind of a training inside the classroom. We are doing transformational training inside the classroom. So what you will do is, to get the whole class involved, you will have these 10 scenarios. You will write it into good, beautiful slips of paper. You will fold it And now it depends on you. If you want to take that fish bowl inside a classroom with those papers, it will be very beautiful. If you just want to take it in your hand, even that works. If you want to take it in a very cute, beautiful bag, even that works. But don't go inside the classroom and say, "Can I get one rough paper?" वो नहीं चलेगा. So you'll have these 10 scenarios and ask somebody to come and pick up one of the slips. And let's say there is a slip over there where it is written, "Inside every seed, there is a forest." So this will be one of the slips. You will be told what are the 10 possible slips which is there. Inside every seed, there is a forest. This is a Chinese saying that inside every seed, there is a forest. Sometimes when I do a corporate training program, I take an apple with me. And what I do is I show them the apple and ask them, "Okay, what do you think I have in my hand?" Some people will reply apple. Some people think this is a trick question. So they keep waiting. What is going to come? What is going to come? They have to do Joe's session where she knows how to establish trust with them. So trick question means answer nahi dene ka. So inside every seed, there is a forest. So in the corporate training program, what I do is I show them an apple and ask them, "Okay, what is this?" And some of them reply apple. I said, "Brilliant. Inside this apple, how many seeds are there?" Obviously, nobody is able to answer. Then I say, "Okay, if I give you this apple, can you tell me how many seeds are there?" Yes, so I give one of them the apple. The most nervous person inside the hall, I give that apple to them. They are petrified. And I tell them, "This is a reward. You can eat the apple, but tell us how many seeds." And then they cut it open. Okay, there are 13 seeds. I said, "Now tell me, out of these seeds, how many apples can be born in the future?" वो तो कोई नहीं बता सकता. So is the case with your potential. No power in the world can define how capable you are. So let nobody in the world limit you and tell you that you are not good enough. And the way to convert those millions of apples from one apple is by the seed going inside the soil. So inside a seed, there is a possibility of a forest. All of you with me? So what you will do is, let's say you tell them, "Okay, pick it up." They pick it up and they say, "Inside every seed, there is a forest." Ask them, "So what are your thoughts on this?" The person who picks it up, ask them for their thought. So this is the interaction that you will do inside the classroom. Every slip of paper you take about 1 minute, not more than that. Inside every seed, there is a forest. Now, what are your thoughts on this? So I just told you an example. So now let me take you through the 10 different scenarios. A smile can begin a lifetime of a relationship. Anybody, any thought? It has to come fast. A smile can begin a lifetime of a relationship. So Rajan and Sucharita wanted to adopt a child. They attempted all over the country. They could not find the child at the speed at which they wanted. Joe said, "I will take the responsibility of finding a child for you." They wanted to adopt a child. So we went to a place, we did some work in Pune, and we called Rajan and Sucharita that, "Come, there is a child whom you might want to adopt." Sucharita was not yet very sure whether she will be able to be the right mother for the child, because the child is not born through her, whether she'll be able to love the child or not. She had this question mark. So we went to this home, and me and Joe were witness to that experience. Sucharita still very unsure. Rajan very confident that he wants to adopt a child. So the owner of that home gave the child to Sucharita. Sucharita held it, and the child looked at Sucharita and smiled. And Sucharita started crying and said, "This is the child who's my child." A smile can begin a relationship of a lifetime. So we go to meetings, we go to get togethers, and we remain very serious. And inside, you're thinking, मेरा कोई पहचान का नहीं है. Nobody knows me. How many of you have resisted going to another get together because you don't know anybody there? That is the reason you should go, because you don't know anybody there. Nobody is judging you. So many lovely people on this planet. You might just meet somebody very interesting. You might learn something over there. A partnership might blossom. A business idea will happen. You know, magic can happen. Visualize inside the womb of your mother, you are saying, I don't know anybody outside. मैं आएगी नहीं बाहर. मतलब then तो only children who are born have to be twins who have to be with each other only. None of us would have been born. Smile is the biggest welcome message that you can send to people. It makes people believe that you accept them, you appreciate them, you like them, you are a friend. I know we are so khadu sometimes in our home we don't smile. नाश्ता बन गया. वो लाइट क्यों चालू है? आज का अखबार किधर है? मेरे कपड़े किधर है? हंस ना. नहीं तो एक दिन ना 15 दिन पुराना ब्रेड जिसमें वो पूरा वो क्या लगता है ग्रीन ग्रीन फंगस, उसी का पकोड़ा बना के ना खिला देगा तेरे को अगले 7 दिन तक जुलाब. If any one of you has gone through that, you know what has happened in your home. The cause for that julab is you are not smiling enough. And sitting over there, anyway, you won't smile. Second scenario. A smile might be a beginning of a lifelong relationship. Of course, it's a classroom of teenagers. So you tell them, don't limit your thought to one kind of a relationship. Expand it to many people, which includes your teachers, which includes your competitors when you go for competition, which includes music fest when you go over there. Learn to have a small, spontaneous smile on your face. And the beauty is, you have really arrived in life when if you're sleeping, you are smiling. You're sleeping with a smile. And you've really reached pinnacle of life. When you die with a smile. Visualize. I know some of you are thinking, I will die when that person smiles. Or I will smile when that person dies. Smile is extremely powerful. Scenario number 3. One hand can lift a soul. If you have to speak on this, what are your belief on this? One hand can lift a soul. What would you say? Bedu? Mother Teresa, no? है So true. So true. Now inside the class, yes, please. A person is with you. Absolutely. Absolutely. So third scenario. One hand can lift a soul. Scenario number 4. One small candle can defeat the biggest of darkness. Small candle, small, insignificant, can defeat the biggest of darkness. What are your thoughts on this? Yes. डूबते को तिनके का सहारा बहुत है. ओके. हाँ जी. Voice of hope. That candle is your voice of hope. Flickering, soft, vulnerable, but it can. Any other voice, Bharti? I remember it was in Calcutta. I had a friend, Vinay Rathi. Vinay Rathi's father's name was Radhakrishnan. And he shared an incident with us. He had a factory called Ford Gloucester Cables. Some of you in the electrical industry might have heard of that brand, about a 700 crore company. He's the owner of Ford Gloucester. So we went to Vinay's house, and Vinay's father would often come to us and chat with us कि कैसा चल रहा है, life अच्छा चल रहा है कि नहीं. And those were the days when Ganga was in spate, that Hooghly was almost overflowing the bank, and there was a fear that water from Hooghly will enter Calcutta. So in that scenario, Uncle shared with us a very beautiful incident. He said that one of the poor factory workers came to me one day and he was crying. And he said, Ganga हमारा घर लेके चल, सब नहीं चले गए. मतलब गंगा हैज टेकन एवरीथिंग. मेरे पास कुछ भी संपत्ति नहीं है, बर्तन नहीं, कपड़े नहीं, कुछ नहीं, गंगा सब लेके चली गई. एंड ही वाज क्राइंग. एंड ही सेड, टिपिकल मारवाड़ी दैट आई वाज थिंकिंग ये बेटा अभी कुछ मांगेगा, ये बोल रहा है, अभी कौन जाके वेरीफाई करेगा. यू नो व्हेन समबडी कम्स टू अस फॉर अ गुड वर्क, द फर्स्ट थिंग वी डू इज पता नहीं कितना नाटक है और कितना सच है. एंड अंकल इज शेयरिंग दिस विद अस. आई लुक्ड एट हिम एंड probably he saw the panic in my face कि कुछ मांग लिया तो मना कैसे करने का. And he just told, दादा हाथ रखे दिन আমি मैनेज করে নেব. आप सिर्फ हाथ रख दो कंधे में, मेरे को इतना बोल दो कि तू कर लेगा, मैं सब मैनेज कर लेगा. And he said he went. He just came to cry. He came in front of somebody whom he believed will empathize with the situation. He is not asking anything from you except I believe in you. So often when people have a crisis of confidence, because what is immediately in front of their life is the mistake they have done or the chaos which exists or the loss that has happened, they are not able to see things clearly. It's like when you fall down, you forget the strength of your legs. You say, ये पांव होते हुए भी तो गिर गया मैं. In these situations in life, one person who can look at you and say, तू कर लेगा, is often more than enough. And that is what a couple of teachers have done in my life, which is why we are so strong in shifting this country's future through Keep Moving movement. We actually believe something magical can happen in the hands of the teacher. So this is what that statement is for me. That when you are going through that darkness, one small lamp, tu kar lega. There is no darkness which is so dark and big, which cannot be defeated by the smallest of lamps. So what you're going to do is, you're going to have these kind of interactions inside the classroom. You will give them a statement. You'll ask them to think. One or two or three people will say something, and then you will sum it up through these insights that you have. Like 6th century BC Chinese philosopher Lobangti Rampa used to say this: it is better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. Isn't it brilliant? It's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. I can freeze, I can flight, or I can aim for freedom by lighting that candle. Next situation. One laughter can conquer gloom. One laughter can conquer gloom. बताओ कुछ. बताओ, new voices, people who have not yet spoken. Do you think if you speak, tragedy will happen? No, no, quite possible. Because I know you have a thought. But if you're not expressing the thought, there must be a reason. And it can only be you're thinking some tragedy will happen. Okay, right now in your head, voice of hope or voice of despair? And what was the second session? I forgot the title. Come again? Communication is my superpower. And I have silent symphonies. Huh? I know. Next 40 minutes. You listen. Anybody who's married knows sometimes you have to say, I love you. If they ask, I love you, do you love me? Silence is communication. बाप रे, बहुत गड़बड़ हो जाएगा. बहुत गड़बड़ हो जाएगा. So what do you say on this situation? अच्छा, what is the situation? तो ये बताओ उसके बारे में कुछ. Chances are you are thinking, मैंने तो ऐसा कभी किया नहीं. So no, when you give these situations, people will reflect and say, ये तो किया नहीं. I cause gloom. I don't destroy gloom through laughter. मतलब टेंशन है. People look at me and say, तू जा, टेंशन ठीक हो जाएगा. And some of them very proudly say, टेंशन लेने का नहीं, देने का. Have any one of you said this statement very proudly? अरे सुख देने का, सुख, टेंशन नहीं देने का. ट्रस्ट मी, इन माई लाइफ एक सन है हमारे पास, वो बहुत है. टेंशन. भारती वोंट कोऑपरेट. शी वोंट से क्या टेंशन देने का नहीं, कुछ नहीं. वन सन. I assume what I'm saying is right. She's saying गाड़ी में चलो. हाँ जी, I saw one hand over there. Yes. Absolutely. 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 If you ever find yourself in a tense situation, smile. If you find yourself in a situation where others are tensed, crack a joke. It's the best way to normalize a situation. A soldier comes in panic to the general and says, we are surrounded by enemy on all sides. And the general says, this is the best news possible. You can kill enemy in every direction. Shoot in any direction and you will kill an enemy. मतलब क्या chance है तेरे पास यार? You refuse to get bogged down. No situation in life can make me miserable. No situation in life will make me miserable. And that's why I love that book by David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. You should buy that book only for the title. If you don't open the book, it's okay. Just read the cover and go back. Can't hurt me. So one laughter can dispel complete gloom. And you would have seen it in Three Idiots, na? Those guys go to the home of their friend to eat food. And there the mother uses the chamta and then with that cooks food. Go and see Three Idiots again. I mean, that movie is a super classic example about how in tense situations I can laugh, dispel all gloom, and bring life back on track. Of course, last session, you can, if you want, you can revisit that. One song can lift your spirits. Teri Mitti, for many of us, does that. And those of us who have been there together for a few years now, Kacha Ghada by Ragir did the same to us. And in case you like Bilaiti music, then there is this song called The Climb by Miley Cyrus of Hannah Montana fame. You should listen to that song, The Climb. Very beautifully she sings, and probably the most practical song. There is always going to be another mountain. And I want to move that mountain. There's going to be another mountain, and that mountain I will want to move. There will always be another battle. And sometimes I will have to lose. It's not about how fast I get there. It's about what is on the other side. The journey of life is not the top of the mountain, but it's the climb. Exceptional. Another scenario, what some of you mentioned already, one touch shows that you care. And you can give them the background of touch. But before I go there, what do you say about this sentence? One touch can show that you care. Yes. है ना? Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, off late, I have started asking people, you're a handshake person or a hug person? So if somebody says a handshake, okay. Hug person, okay. Very, very simple question. Post-COVID, you don't know what will be people's reaction to the hug. After 10th, when students disperse and they will go to different ways, they will tell, let's stay in touch. When you listen to a profound song or somebody does something very special for you, we will say, I was touched. Touch signifies the depth of a relationship. Touch signifies trust. Touch signifies acceptance. अपनी संस्कृति में ना, जिसको हम बहुत पिछड़ा मानते हैं, people that we believe are not worthy at all, उनको हम बोलते हैं अछूत, untouchable. मतलब इतना खराब है कि मैं उसको छू भी नहीं सकता. You'll find people you don't like. The first thing you will do is create physical distance. Those of you married, let's say if the wife is upset with the husband, and as the husband goes to wife and says, "Sun, haath mat lagao," and he takes one step, "Sun na, दूर से बात करो." नाराज है क्या? नहीं. But this is not a class on marriage, so I'm not going there. Small demo to show importance of touch. Vikas Bhav? हाँ, बिल्कुल किया तूने क्या इशारा. आज मैं और भारती ना एक लॉन्ग ड्राइव में जा रहे हैं. Next situation. One action can make a lot of difference. It could be about a gesture somebody has done for friendship. One action would make a lot of difference. Hmm. Absolutely. Wonderful. She's doing beautiful work. Personally, in your life, anybody did something which kind of made a lot of difference to you? Hmm. So, one action. Let's start a foundation for organ donation and so many lives. And in our lives, we would have gone through that. One of those days you're feeling very bad and somebody uh, did something for you. They might just have cooked a good meal for you, or they would have shared one book for you, or they gave you some time where you could sit and listen to them, or they expressed their faith in you, belief in you. And many of you will go through those experiences with your ACs, where they were flexible, they adjusted, they motivated. What Joe was speaking about, Nilesh and Milind, is something on those lines. Countless stories of Pankaj Pipada and people who were there inside his classroom. Today, Amit came with Bharat. What's your name? Bharat, na? VARAT. Bharat. So all these are nothing but very smooth, beautiful, small stories of one action can actually create a lot of difference. Next, one person can make a huge difference. So sometimes some of these stories are kind of applicable to a few points, but one person can make a huge difference. What comes to your mind? Yeah, amazing. Your husband? Naren? Okay, thank you. All revolutionaries, people who sacrifice their life, people who are selfless, people who default are thinking about how do I create an impact on this planet? How do I create an impact in my mohalla? How do I create an impact in my gully? How do I create an impact in my family? How do I create an impact in my office? There are always some people who are thinking about what can I do for others. And that one person can actually make a lot of difference. History is written by people whose impact is in thousands and millions. But all of us are blessed with somebody around us who's willing, ever willing to help. Do you agree with me? All of us are blessed with some people where we know, could difficult one, we can always go to this person. That person makes all the difference. And the final 10th point that you will not put inside the jar or on the paper for them to choose, you take one out of your pocket and say, one session has the power to make all the difference. And ask them, what do you say? So you heard Raj speak about how the session is making a difference in his life. You heard Vijay speak about how the session is making a difference in his life. I know some of us are a little uncomfortable in speaking to a large group of people, but I know when we are two or three of us talking together, you will have so much to say about how one session, one pointer, one paragraph, one story makes a huge difference in your life. Now, this is my appeal to all of you. When you enter the classroom, you go with the determination that today, this session will be the turning point in a few lives. ये सोच के जाने का. Don't get to deliver as a courier service boy. That किसी का माल है, किसी को पहुंचाना है, अपने को क्या है. Go there believing that today you are the angel in some people's life. Some people are going through some struggle that you don't know, friends don't know, teachers don't know. But a statement that you're going to make inside the classroom is what they have been waiting for a long, long time. One session has the power to make a lot of difference in their life. So these are the 10 scenarios that we talk about. And this is where these two words become important. This is the tool that we are going to give to everybody inside the classroom. After these 10 scenarios, what you say is there are two kinds of people in the world. One who have low agency and the other who have high agency. Now this picture speaks for itself. All of you will get this in the WhatsApp thing. Now, for some time, mirror this with yourself. Are you this person? Freeze, flight? Or are you that person? Freedom. Over here, you see that person very excited with life? Do you? And that person has a big smile on his face. God helps those who help themselves. Himmat-e marda. If I keep waiting for somebody to come and help me, chances are it may not arrive. If I've decided to help myself, life is beautiful. So, who are you going to be? Low agency or high agency? Okay. If Bitu was on stage, she would have said, "Maza nahi aaya tumhare haan mein." Low agency or high agency? Pakka. If this was Uri, I would have asked you, "How's the Josh?" ऐसा कुछ क्लास में करने का. If the neighboring classes did not even know this session happened, you have failed. You have failed. Some teachers should come and say, "Can you please speak softly? We are getting disturbed." If a teacher has come with this request, you have succeeded. If no teacher has come, keep asking, "How's the Josh? How's the Josh?" Now, interesting thing. How many of you wrote down all the 10 points? Okay, most of you. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you this question. Out of these 10 scenarios, which points are you going to implement? Who is you? What do you think is your character? Out of the 10, choose any 3. Okay, those of you who don't remember, I'll read it out for you. One seed can start a forest. Will you believe in yourself that way? Okay, I am limitless. 2, one smile can begin a lifetime of a relationship. Which means people will always find somebody very warm when they meet you. Somebody very welcoming when they meet you. Rita Jethwani, where are you? ये देखो, ये हमारी एक रोल मॉडल है, स्माइल वाली. If she was born in a Muslim family, her name would have been Ismail. One hand can lift a soul. Which means you see yourself playing an important role in people's lives. Now you can choose my family. I will be the most motivating person in my family and among my friends. One small candle can defeat the biggest of darkness. There are three very powerful words called Apo Deepo Bhava, which means be your own light. So some people experience spiritual evolution through a guru. And some people say, I am going to be my own light. So Gautama Buddha lived by, I will find my own path. And he found his own path. Which means every time there is a voice of despair, I will defeat it through voice of hope within me. Every time there is a tough situation, I will use the power of communication and solve it. If you live by that, then you can say that one small candle can defeat the biggest of darkness. Remember the words of Lobangti Rampa over here. One laughter can conquer gloom. टेंशन देने का नहीं, टेंशन लेने का नहीं, टेंशन निकालने का. एक्सचेंज मत करो, रिमूवल करो. सो यू कैन से मैं जहां भी रहेगा ना, वहां मुस्कुराहट रहेगी, हंसी रहेगी, मस्ती रहेगी. Any one of you like that over here? If you are there, there is only laughter. In fact, inside a hall, there is laughter. People said, अच्छा वो आ गया होगा. See, ना टेंशन लेने का नहीं, देने का नहीं, निकालने का और हंसने का. ठीक है? Hetal is so happy today. One song can raise our spirits that we have done last time. You can always have your anchor song. One touch can show you care, which means you don't wait for somebody to ask for help. If you know somebody needs help, you will go and give it. You will not wait to be asked for help. High agency person. Every one of these sentences is high agency people. One action can make a difference. Something is going wrong, you want to set it right, somebody has to begin. So one action can make all the difference. There's one sentence which I missed. One person can make a huge difference by doing something, by creating something, by being a role model, even if you're not reaching out. Just by being the kind of person you are, you can make a huge difference. And finally, of course, one session, this session can change a few lives. Good news is none of you are alone. You don't have to fight the battle of life all alone. There are millions of people out there who are very alone. Like she said, the calls that she gets on the helpline. Fortunately, you have your ACs, you have KMM, you have Life School, you have Naren. You have enough layers of protection. And all that is required by him from you is go ahead and be that to somebody. So therefore, I am asking all of you, decide at least 3 points out of these 10 that this I will live by. Whatever happens, I will live by. You do the same inside the classroom. Ask the children, ये 10 में से था तुम decide करो कि कौन से 3 चाहिए तुम. And live by that. And this is where the title of the session also comes. PERCUSSA, RESURGO. Have you heard that word called persecution? Fundamentally, that word comes from PERCUSSA. What does it mean? It means knock down. गिरा दो किसी को, तोड़ दो किसी को, फोड़ दो किसी को. And RESURGO means to bounce back. So once in a way, in our lives, we will have tragedies. PERCUSSA, RESURGO. We will fall. PERCUSSA, RESURGO. The key in life is bouncing back. The key in life is not avoiding falling down. It's in bouncing back. So this is the essence of the session. Right in the beginning, you tell them that there will be tragedies in life. Things will go wrong. You're creating a base for everybody to understand somewhere in their life, some things would have gone wrong. And then you slowly shift the session to ways by which we can come out from every despair in our life. And to make it very interactive and reflective, you give them these statements. Now, all of you need not take 10. You can take 6, you can take 5, you can take 7. There is no science in all 10 makes it complete. These are the 10 scenarios. Don't create your own scenarios without the approval from KMM. So if you think there is a beautiful idea that you have which could be given as a scenario, send the message to me. All of you have my number. It should come through your ACE, not directly. So you give it to your AC, I think this can be a session. If the AC says, yeah, this is a good point, please send it to Naren, then you send it to me. And if you send it to me, right, I have spoken to my AC and he's okay with it or she's okay with it. And if I believe, yeah, that's a beautiful one-line situation that you can give, then I will say, okay, go ahead and take it. Does that work for all of you? Now, since you are going to take this session around Independence Day, every year when we have a session around Independence Day, there is a fervor of patriotism in the session. So what are you going to do? India has many issues. India is not issue free. People who stay in Pune, they would say metro is a big issue. Governance is a big issue, etc., etc. Now is the power part of the session. How intense and how powerful you can be is what is going to be there in the last 5-7 minutes. So far it was good fun, it was contemplation, it was masti, thoda bahut joke, thoda bahut mazak. And now you go into power. India does not need people who complain. Complaints have never solved anything. A dear friend of mine, some of you would have heard him, RJ Sangram. Now, RJ Sangram was sharing with me one day that his father told him when they were driving on the road, and RJ Sangram at that point of time was about 17 years old, and by nature, he is critical of everything and anybody around him. So immediately said, "Kya faltu traffic hai yaar, koi traffic ka management hi nahi hai." And his father, who's a police officer, said, "You have a right to complain if you want to take the responsibility to solve it. You have no right to complain if you think by complaining you are contributing. I know traffic is not good. I don't need another 10 people to tell me traffic is not good and make me more frustrated, helpless, and restless in my life. If I don't like traffic, let me say I will do something to improve it." The only person who has a right to complain is the person who is willing to take the responsibility to solve it. If I complain about my team members, I should be able to take the responsibility to solve it. Otherwise, you are reducing the motivation in the atmosphere. You are taking will away from people. You are making things uglier. At home, if something is not right and you want to complain, you have to take the responsibility to solve it. And I'm speaking about complaint. I'm not speaking about discussion. We can always discuss and say, isko kaise karna chahiye, kaun kya kar sakta hai. Then it is uplifting, power of communication. But if I am a complainer, then I am useless. Nobody in their life would ever say, I grew in life, I had a breakthrough in my life, felt elevated because people around me complained. My child gets 96, I can complain, why did you lose 4%? That does not make the child driven to get 100. You will say this about your country. I remember the year 2000. When during independence, I was asked to give a quote for the country. and somebody was creating a center page for a magazine. And what I said has struck with me. Either live in India and make it better, or leave India and make it better. Don't stay here and be bitter. You don't like this country, leave. Let me see which country in the world takes you. Write in the application, I can complain brilliantly well. Therefore, give me asylum in your country. तो जाके देख तो सही, दुनिया में कोई भी कंट्री तेरे को लेगा क्या? Either live and make it better, or leave and make it better. So is the case with you in your office, so is the case with you in your home. Either live in your family and make it better, or leave the family and make it better. Don't be bitter over there and make everybody bitter. So KMM will help you. Whom will you help? And you tell this to the children. We are there for you. You have our number, you have our email. For anything in your life, if you want to fall back, you want clarity, you want support, you want resources, we will ensure that it reaches you. What are you going to do for our country? So if you have to visualize India at 2047, Bharat at 100. When India reaches an age of 100, you'll ask all of them, now, talk to us about your dream, and there are two parts to the dream. One, where would you like India to be? And I'm asking this to all of you. Where would you like India to be in 2027? Promise me all of you will be there. उसके पहले exit मत मार लेना. See India at 2047. When India becomes 2047, what's your dream for this country? Number one in happiness index. Okay. Nobody in Bhutan likes you. Bhutan is number one in happiness in the world, huh? Beautiful. What else? No dreams for the country? Too sudden? Eradicate poverty. Very progressive. Fastest economy in the world. One religion. Okay. Revamp the education system. Good governance. Top में Olympics medal winner. Well-being through art. Made in India. Clean India. Be a place where everybody would like to be. Okay. Pollution free. Very good. Power of knowledge. Vishwaguru. Patriotic India. Best in infrastructure. I thought you will say best in chartered accountants. He's a CA. Now, two parts. What's your dream for the country? And part two, what role are you willing to play? If I'm giving a solution, in that solution, I have to contribute. What role am I willing to play? It's okay if I play 1% role. The smallest of lamb can defeat the biggest of darkness. The beginning can be a seed, and ultimately it might become a forest. Ganga at Hooghly in Calcutta is 1.5 kilometers wide. But at Gangotri, the water is like a tap water. But contribute करने का दिल होना चाहिए. So now you will give a task to the youngsters inside the classroom. And this is a task I'm giving to each one of you. I'm looking forward to seeing 300 less than 1 minute videos. And in that video, you are going to say, my dream for my country is. Now, some of you I know because you said it, and trust me, my memory is good. And then you will say, my contribution will be, and you will speak about your contribution. So my dream for my country is, my contribution towards this dream is. 1 minute से ज्यादा का वीडियो नहीं चाहिए. We don't want a 40-minute session from you. 1 minute video, max 1 minute video. Now, as you are hearing the responsibility to make this commitment, watch for the war between voice of despair and voice of hope. See what you're feeling inside. Are you feeling, मैं क्या कर सकता हूं? Are you going into freeze mode? यारे अपने पहले लफड़े बहुत है, पहले वही नहीं सॉल्व करेंगे, भारत का कहां देखे, पहले अपना तो देखे. This seems to have hit a nerve. Correct. Swapnil? Life is not about or, it is always about and. Like what Betu shared about Nimisha. I thought I have 2 children and I don't so much time. I need to relax a little more. Like what Bharti was saying, I thought I need to relax and take it easy. The moment you say, ye bhi kar sakta hai, let me find a way. Intent is the seed behind every revolution. So it begins with the intent. Everybody over here, which includes my darling guests over here today, create a 1-minute video. My dream for my country is, and my contribution towards this dream will be. Now let me tell you what my expectation is. You don't know whether this will be a seed for a revolution or not. The farmer understands every seed that they sow does not become a plant. The law of agriculture is 10,000 seeds, 100 plants. What did Betu say? How many students? 15,000 students. Including all of us, 15,300 people. What did Pankaj share? Few years ago, when we had Sapre Vedare, not 1 but 2 revolutions were born because of a small public speaking competition that we had. 1, rebirth was born. And 2, wow parenting was born. That Kuldeep started by saying, I want to create a revolution in parenting. And we took it up. And good news, in 2021, wow parenting was voted as the best parenting advice platform in the whole world. That's what happens when you have a seed of an idea. यार ये कर सकते हैं, अच्छा सोचते हैं, अरे कोशिश करते हैं, अरे let me give it a shot. And we are all busy in our life. Rajesh Shetty, who's the leader of Rebirth, is busy in his life. But when an idea grips you, you find time. All of you are busy in life, but for KMM this season, 4 months, we create time. And from October onwards, suddenly you will be very busy and you won't know time nikla kaise. That's the power of intent. When you want to do something, you will always create time. And we don't know, out of these 15,000 children, let's assume you tell it inside the class that if your school allows, this is the phone number where you can send the videos. If for some reason the school does not allow, then you load it on any social media platform and tag us. But start speaking about it. I have this dream for my country, and this is what I will do towards this dream. And I know things will go wrong. I know there will be setbacks. I know there will be blunders. But my theme will be PERCUSSA, RESURGO. I will be knocked down. I will be knocked down. But there will be a bounce back after every knockdown. So in the first session, we give them the voice of hope. In the second session, you give them the power of communication. In the third session, you give them patriotism in a context of this entire session about there will be tragedies, but you will be very, very strong. You will not allow any tragedy to break you down. Broken crayons, still color. At least these 15,000 children, not a single one of them should contemplate suicide. And in the lives where these 15,000 children are present, not a single of their friend should contemplate suicide. Because one hand can lift all my gloom. One touch can lift a soul. I have this person in life. Matlab, everything is not glooming in my life. Kuch to ho sakta hai. And you and me will never come to know how many lives we have saved. And that's the beauty of this work. नेकी कर, दरिया में डाल. वेट भी नहीं करने का ये सोचने के लिए कि कहीं से मुझे तारीफ मिले. But move inside the session with this determination. आज कुछ कमाल करेंगे. Today's session will be a turning point in somebody's life. And as far as you are concerned, your work is concerned, your family is concerned, just remember that, what R.J. Sangram's father said. You have a right to complain if you are willing to take the responsibility to solve it. If you can just take this from this session, I think it will be a turnaround for our lives. It's 9 o'clock. Time for us to complete the session. Breakfast is waiting for all of you. Wish you magic when you go through this session. Thank you so much. Love you all. Have a great day.